I'm zooming in with the guest. I believe she's out in Conroe, but I'm going to let her introduce herself, and we're going to find out what she has coming up. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. My name's Rhiannon Coffey. I train out of Aries BJJ under Matt Wilson, and I'm also go by the name Ray. Most people know me by that. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so you're out in Conroe. How long have you been into jujitsu?
I've been in jiu-jitsu for about 3.5 years. I actually started at a different school, so I haven't always been under Aries. I started off at Gracie Humaida under Andy Yaunt, and then a year into training, I switched over to Aries because the schedule just worked a little bit better for me. And at the time, they were affiliated with Pressa, which is known in Corpus Christi, and then we switched affiliations at the end of last year to Aries.
Okay, so Missions on the Shore, that's coming up March 19th. It's going to be in Texas City at the Booker T World Gym Arena. You're going to be there. Are you excited for this event?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I was here for their first event in Texas in Galveston last year. So I'm pretty excited to be competing with them again. I think last year I was up with Madison Gwynn, and then this time I'm not. I mean, I know her name and everything. I was told not to say anything until like the photos and stuff are out, so I can't name who my opponent is right now.
Okay.
But I think she trains at the same gym as Madison, so it's gonna be interesting.
That's War Training Center.
Yeah,
Cool, and that's not too far from you. I mean, it's a little bit. I think War's out in Tomball.
yeah, it's out in Tomball. I haven't visited there, but I visited pretty much all the other gyms in the area there. I just haven't made my way to drop in there yet for any cross training. So
Yeah, they have a lot of tough fighters, competitors, people at all different levels that train out of there. But they specifically have a lot of the most that I've seen personally, female fighters, which I think is pretty cool. And they're open to cross training and all that.
oh yeah, they have a lot of MMA fighters there, and actually one of our MMA fighters at our gym, Danielle, she's trying to get into some cross training with them now because she has fights and stuff she wants to get ready for, and she needs more partners because I don't do MMA as of the moment, so
Are
I'm
you?
kind of in for jujitsu. So
Yeah. Are you open to that in the future?
oh yeah, I'm definitely interested. I mean, I feel like anyone who does jujitsu eventually thinks about doing MMA at least a little bit, right? I just need to find a place to do some striking because right now the striking in our gym schedule wise just doesn't really work out for me. So.
Well, you should check out War because they are. It's all over.
Oh yeah, it is. I've also been thinking about going to Sammy's Muay Thai,
Oh yeah.
so because that's where Danielle does her striking. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I know Sammy, he cross trains over at War as well.
yeah, he does pretty regularly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see I guess the inclusion and the family that the MMA scene is here in Houston, and I get to talk to some people from all over the country, and that's not always necessarily the case.
Yeah, it's actually I find it's really different here because especially like just in the Conroe area, I mean, everybody knows everybody. We're pretty much like a giant family because we know all the gyms. Like we train with people at Carlson, at Aries, Hamida, basically anywhere up there. And then I've noticed that kind of trickles to the South Houston area too, or to Tomball and things. Like everybody seems to know everybody.
Hmm.
Big community.
So you mentioned that you were at that Submissions on the Shore event in Galveston. I was there too. It was really cool. Had you competed for an all women's promotion or an event like that before?
No, that was the first one. I mean, I'd done a lot of tournaments and everything. I think that was my first super fight. It might have been my second, but I'm pretty sure that was my first super fight I ever done. So
Hmm.
that was definitely a different experience. I was really nervous because um, I'd never been like up on like a raised stage like that. So I was
Yeah.
like walking up there, like, oh my god, what's happening right now? Like, am I gonna fall off? What happens if I fall off?
And that's a possibility. I've seen it before. Usually there's people guarding and they try and prevent that from happening, but it can happen.
Yeah, I was like, man, and there's tables right there too. I'm like, what happens if I fall onto one of the tables? Am I gonna die?
I don't think so. Hope not. But
I hope not either.
but the people sitting at the tables will get their money worth. It'll be a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, that would certainly. I mean, I would just be like, man, I hope they fall on my table if I was sitting there.
Yeah. So okay, Submissions on Soar, March 19th. What kind of game plan? What kind of preparation goes into competing in something like this?
Well, definitely takes a lot of time and effort. I know that my coach Matt, he likes to know a lot about our opponent and everything. And just considering that they train at War, we're expecting a lot of aggression, a lot of wrestling game because that's typically what we see coming out of there. So we're just kind of planning for that a little bit. And it's a lower weight class than I have been competing at usually, which is good for me. I tend to do better at lower weight classes, competing a little heavy lately. So I'm pretty excited. I know it's going to probably be a really fast roll for sure. Lots of speed, lots of scrambles. That's what I'm kind of expecting.
Mm-hmm. So that Submissions on the Shore event, the first one in Galveston, you said that was your first super fight. Since then,
Yeah.
have you been staying busy, doing more tournaments or super fights as well?
Oh yeah, I've been doing a lot more tournaments. I've been doing a lot more. I did a couple of more super fights. I think one or two. I think I did one for Combat Sports was the last one I did. That was a team event. It was kind of it was really funny because I was actually not supposed to be on a team. I was supposed to do like my own individual, but he couldn't find a fight for me. And so then I ended up subbing for a team member that fell out of one of the team matches. And then basically everyone on that team had to be kind of pieced together
Yeah.
with other subs because they all of the original team kind of dropped out. So I ended up going up there, and then there was because it technically the team matches are purple to black belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually ended up fighting a black belt, and I'm like, oh my god, are you kidding me? I'm only a blue belt. What's happening?
Yeah. And I think Thomas Galdenzi, he's having an event the weekend before Submissions on the Shore. That's March 12th. So that's exciting as well. I love seeing all these opportunities for different, fighters and grapplers to get on the stage and have that platform. For you, are you looking to compete some more this year, or what does that look like?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely competing more this year. I actually have a tournament coming up this weekend with the Grappling Industries. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's on the 19th of February, and then I hope I can do it in March as well. It's the weekend after Subs on the Shore. There's an AGF tournament that my coach has really been pushing everyone to do. But so far my work schedule is not looking like I can do that one. But
Okay.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
So at your gym, is it a big competition gym? I mean, you mentioned your coach pushing you to do. Is that something he does towards a lot of people or just specific?
No, I think it's just people he knows that compete a lot, or people that he thinks would do well in competition. He actually this is the first time I think he's really been like pushing like a tournament or anything. Matt is like the chillest person you will ever meet. I feel like in jiu-jitsu, he's like super relaxed, and he typically doesn't push tournaments very much. But I think he's just really excited about the event, so he's been really trying to get everybody on like a competition team and really basically show up numbers and everything there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different but exciting.
As far as competing goes, what kind of goals are you pushing for the rest of this year, and I guess even beyond?
Well, I want to get at least my game down a lot better than it was. I think at the beginning, because I've been a blue belt now for about a year, and I've been kind of trying to develop my game a little bit. And so I definitely want to make more strides in that. I want to actually like hit things that like I can see and think of now that I wasn't able to see or think of before. And I mean, of course, I want to go out and win some medals and stuff. But right now, it's also about, just learning and about, just getting a little bit better at technique and everything. I think that's important for me.
You mentioned you started training, I think you said about 4 years ago or so. What led you to even go down this path?
Oh, that's so okay, yeah. So I just graduated A&M and I was basically applying for like a whole bunch of jobs and everything, and I was just getting really disappointed, really depressed, and I'd struggled with depression a lot in my life. There's a lot of like trauma and things that are built up from my childhood I never really kind of dealt with. And it was all kind of hitting me all at once. And so basically I kind of like made this ultimatum to myself. I was like, all right, if I don't find anything to do today, then I'm just not going to see tomorrow. It was just kind of one of those awful situations. And so I ended up walking into Gracie Humaida, which I actually saw being built because it was like a new facility at the time. It was being built from the ground up. And I was like, all right, let me just do that. And then what kept me going back, Andy was really like, hey, you're going to be here tomorrow? Hey, you're going to be here tomorrow? And I'm like, okay, sure. So I just kept coming back and coming back and coming back. And that kind of led me down to like, for a while, I was like super obsessed with doing nothing but training and jujitsu. And that was, to me, the only thing that was keeping me like going, like the only thing keeping me like alive to the next day. And then eventually I got injured in a tournament pretty badly. I had dislocated my knee for like the fourth time, but it was like the worst time. And I had to take time off. And then I was like, you know what? I can do other things too.
Hmm.
Jiu-jitsu is important, but I need to start doing like other things too. And so I always say that jiu-jitsu saved my life because it led me to like think of things better and to work harder and kind of view things in my life a little bit differently. So I got a little bit more motivation to keep going and everything. So that's kind of just how I started jiu-jitsu, and I've been doing it ever since.
Had you seen it before, or you saw it being built, but any experience or even know exactly what it was?
Oh, I had no idea what I was walking into. I'll be completely honest. I was like, I had never seen any grappling. I'm not a big UFC, MMA fighting like person. I did karate like super young when I was little, but I've always been an athlete. I've always competed in something, whether it was basketball or competitive swimming or something, right?
Hmm.
And then I had a friend that I was working with at the time. I was working at TJ Maxx, and my manager was actually the one who was like talking about going over there. And I was like, you know what, I might as well go over there too. And yeah, that's kind of how that happened.
Did they stick with it as well?
No, I don't even think they walked in there.
Wow. Well, that was just like a setup, like it was meant to be.
Yeah, a little bit. It was kind of like serendipity right there. It's just like, hey, this thing's there for you, and come on in.
Do you ever talk to other people and they have a almost similar story? Like, it saved their life, it changed their life for the better, whether that's any combat sport or even jujitsu specifically.
Yeah, I think I mentioned my friend Craig a little bit ago with the contact lenses.
Hmm.
He has a pretty compelling story. I'm sure he could, if he's ever on here, he could probably tell you the whole thing. But it saved him. Like he's always struggled with like sobriety and things like that. And he always says, jujitsu keeps him, going, keeps him focused on the path ahead. That and his faith and all that stuff. So I always found that to be really inspiring because that's why he's one of my best friends. So.
Hmm. So you mentioned going to A&M. What did you study in school?
Oh, I have a bachelor's degree in anthropology. It's basically the study of people and culture. A lot of anthropologists end up becoming archaeologists. I just didn't see myself digging up things in the dirt, so that's just not the path I went down.
Yeah. It's also a store. Have you been to anthropology?
Oh, yes. Though
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with the degree.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife likes that store. And so I know I've spent some time in there. It's like I'm sitting in a chair smelling a candle and there's like a shirt and a jacket over there, but it's a mixture of different things. And I had to Google, like I didn't even know what anthropology was. I'm like, what does it mean? And then I'm like, why did they name this store this? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know why they named it that either. And that and the prices there are
Yeah.
like crazy. Like there's no way any kind of archaeologist or anything's gonna be able to afford those shirts. I'm like,
Yeah.
this makes sense.
So is that something that you would ever pursue? I mean, even like if you said they go into archaeology, if you have an anthropology degree or you studied that, or like using your degree more fully, I suppose.
Yeah, actually, so that's part of the reason because I'm studying to get into law school right now, and I want to work with indigenous groups because I'm indigenous as well, and I want to be a cultural anthropologist. So that means basically what we do is we study the culture and how it affects people, both in the past and present day. And I want to specifically do that within health law and kind of look at the cultural laws, the cultural ties for that every tribe has that kind of affects our relationship with law and policies, and kind of use that to help develop things that are a little bit more helpful for tribal nations across America and Canada. So
That sounds really interesting and it'd be cool. But the thing that came to mind was the cultural, I guess, traditions and stuff within even gyms or like jujitsu as a whole, and then how there's like rules in gyms and spoken and unspoken things. That would be a whole study in itself as well.
oh yeah, I definitely thought about that. Like when I think I was just coming out of school, and I'm like, man, this would be such a great study. Like to just like look at the cultural meaning behind a fist bump. Like that would be an
Yeah.
amazing thesis I could do for a whole doctorate degree. And then I got like way into that. I'm like, okay, I need to calm down right now.
Yeah. Okay. So if you never found jujitsu or combat sports or anything, I mean, what do you think you would be doing? What else interests you that you almost tried? Hey, I need an outlet. I'm gonna go try this.
Oh, that's a good question. I write a lot, so I'd probably definitely be writing a lot more for sure. I think I'd probably just like throw myself into writing a novel or something like that, which
Hmm.
I am still trying to write, but right now I have other focuses. So
Yeah. What kind
I'd
of what
probably
kind of
go to
book or writings would you do?
Oh, I am obsessed with fantasy. So it'd definitely be a fantasy novel. Definitely a lot of world building. It'd probably be like a super long one, like George R. R. Martin, like thousands of pages, multiple books, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So are you a fan of reading those as well?
Yeah, I have read Martin's work. I've read Tolkien. I'm not the biggest fan. I just don't like his wording style very much. I do like a lot of sci-fi too, though, like Philip K. Dick, and a lot of them. So I'd probably kind of mix the high fantasy aspect with like elves and magic with like the cyborg, steampunk aesthetic of a lot of the other traditional sci-fi like H.G. Wells and all that fun
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Yeah.
Whenever you meet somebody on the mat, everybody's kind of wearing the same thing. It's either like gi or no gi, right? So you don't necessarily know that much about their past or what they studied, or you're studying to go into law school. Are people ever surprised whenever you give them a glimpse behind your personal life?
Yeah, I think I surprised. I was like having a conversation with one of my teammates, and then I think I just like went on a rant about I think the kings and queens of England or
Yeah,
something like that because I just happen to be a history buff too, and they're just like, "Wow, like you really study history, don't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sorry."
kind of. Yeah, I kind of did that, right?
It's
Cool.
kind of what I did for 4 years of my life there.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's remind people Saturday, March 19th, Ray is going to be competing for submissions on the shore. It's taking place at the Booker T World Gym Arena in Texas City, and I'm excited. I'm going to be there. I've been able to talk and interview multiple people who are going to be on that card, and maybe even your opponent, because I've talked to two people that are competing from war. But you're not allowed to talk about it until the flyers come out. But I did see that they posted on their story
Mhm.
a teaser of some of the flyers, I guess, that are
Yeah.
that are ready.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw one of my flyers too, um, which I was just like, oh, maybe I can say who my opponent is, but I'm not
Now,
100% sure. So I'm just like, let me just not jump into that. I don't
yes.
want to get any trouble or anything.
If somebody's never been to an event before, can you kind of describe what they can expect? Is it going to be exciting, and what can they expect in your match specifically?
Yeah, so I mean, when you first go into like, I feel like it's very similar to like how MMA fights are set up, at least how the amateur ones that I've seen are set up. So like you go in, there's a big room with a lot of like folding chairs and things, and then there's lights everywhere. And then of course everyone has like their entry music. You'll see the match, and then some matches can be like really interesting, like dynamic matches, which I'm expecting mine to be that way, just because I expect a lot of fast scrambles and things like that. That's just kind of where I'm thinking it's headed. So definitely going to be a lot more higher paced in that respect. And then there's going to be some matches that are a little bit slower, taking more time. Usually a lot of high level matches, because of how long they take,
Mm-hmm.
typically are a lot slower, more methodical, more thought out, less scrambles, more, all right, let me get this technique perfect.
Is your match going to be 80cc rule set, and are you familiar with that, and are you excited for it?
Yeah, I am familiar with the rule set. I also watched a lot of, because I think was it Albert sent
Mm-hmm.
everyone like a little like video thing that we were all supposed to watch on the ADCC rule set as well. I made sure to watch that as well in case that anything popped up that I didn't know. And so yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the rules, and then I forgot what the other question was, so I'm just gonna.
Just if you're excited and familiar with it, it was it. So you answered.
Okay, just making sure. I'm just like, wait, did I hear that right?
Yeah. Okay. So after this year, you want to compete a lot. What about in your jiu-jitsu career? What are things that you want to accomplish?
Well, I'm hoping to get my purple belt. I know you're not supposed to chase the belt or anything, but I just really want to be able to reach it by like a certain like time goal. So I'm hoping close to the end of this year, maybe beginning of next year, already be promoted, but we'll see. That's really hard to get promoted under, which I think is fantastic. Because then I feel like I really earned something. So we'll see how that goes. But that's definitely a current, like a main, like close goal of mine. And then an ultimate goal is to just, I don't know, like be better. Is that something?
Yeah. Lawyer, grappling black belt lawyer.
Yes,
Pretty
that's
cool.
exactly the goal. I want to be able to beat someone on the mats and then beat someone in the courtroom.
In the courtroom as well. I love it. Awesome. Hey, is there anything else that you would like to share today?
Not really. I mean, definitely a shout out to my gym, Aries BJJ, up in Conroe. My coach, Matt Wilson, and then all the friends that I talked about. Danielle Thompson, up and coming MMA fighter, and then Craig Johnson, who's just the most lovable person ever. So yeah.
So Saturday, March 19th at the Booker T World Gym Arena. You can check out Submissions on the Shore. If you're in the Houston area, go and attend. And if not, you can watch it on Fight TV from anywhere in the world. So, Ray, thank you so much for making time today. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good day.